Morning, officer.
Maybe this is the pot calling the kettle black. This guy thinks he's a genius and he's a moron.
Oh, this is live.
Think of like the dumbest cave troll let you know.
You looked right at me when you said that.
You're not the dumbest.
Here are the facts as I see them.
Dateline September 26, 2022. Did that sound professional enough? Are we in the big leagues yet? I know we're in the top 50%, something like that. I read that statistic somewhere, and it makes me feel better about what we're doing.
60% of statistics are made up on the spot, but yeah.
They do the job of giving me the same amount of confidence to come up here and do this. Merce, how are we doing tonight on the Bandit Radio Hour?
Facing down death from a hurricane.
And he just stubbed his toe.
Yep.
Yep. Right when he hit the record button, kicked the table. And we are in a new recording location in an isolated bunker somewhere in southwest Florida. By isolated bunker, I mean back porch of a residence.
If you look where the hurricane's going, or by the time you listen to this, where the hurricane was, we're somewhere along that line.
Now hang on. All right. Devil's advocate. Where that hurricane, we're talking about Hurricane Ian, that is about to grace us, and this is Monday night on the 26th at 10 o'clock. We're going to share some updates about it, but Merce had a really good quote about 48 hours ago. He said, well, the first spaghetti model has it going dead straight for us. So you can sleep safe knowing they're always wrong with the first model.
Turns out I was wrong, which is also more par for the course.
And the thing is, I bragged about that like to 3 different people. I shared that little nugget of wisdom, like, hey, you guys, don't worry, feel safe.
The one time they get it right.
Yeah, so it's running right up Charlotte Harbor with a bullseye aimed at our county, or Manatee County, which is right next door to our county. And if you're in Southwest Florida, we're about to have some fun, people.
It's going to get western.
Yep, southwestern Florida. But yeah, we got Ian coming in. Merce, it's supposed to get up to possibly a Category 3?
It's going to get to a 4, but I think it's going to weaken back down before it hits.
That'd be cool.
In theory.
What was the last bad hurricane to hit Florida in general? Was it up in the Panhandle like 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah,
back
I can't
in
remember
2018.
They got smoked.
I know it was before COVID. Like during COVID, not all the hurricanes were like, "Hey, we're gonna take it easy," and not
they quarantined.
Yeah, they were under quarantine. They didn't want to spread it around. Now that Biden declared it's over, they can all come in now.
Masks are off,
and it's actually open immigration just for hurricanes.
I was hoping DeSantis would send them to Martha's Vineyard. But
we might send this one back to Texas if we're lucky. We're burning in hell. But
technically, they're showing after it goes across Florida, it's going to go on up the East Coast, so it could still shank and hit Martha's Vineyard.
If this isn't, I don't know what's a more preposterous reality. The fact that all of this might be a simulation, or the fact that all of this isn't a simulation and it's just randomness that lines up perfectly. Well, hell, what was the last one that hit Southwest Florida hard, Merce?
It was Irma.
Irma?
Went up the edge. It
No,
wasn't bad, but...
I mean hard. I mean like no lube.
Like you paid for it hard?
Yes. Yeah. I was thinking, there hasn't been one like that since Charlie, right?
Yeah, Charlie was a gut check.
Yeah, I remember we went to play a different high school team. Like during that, we had like 2 to 3 weeks off school for just cleanup. We were going into high school.
Well, it's because part of the roof of the school was gone.
Yeah, dude, there was people. Wasn't that and the Turner Center an evacuation shelter or a fallout shelter? And the roof was peeled off.
Yeah, we just went and built this fancy new center that's supposed to be like great up to Category.
Our small town was proud of itself for what it could build on a shiny
And then
hill.
halfway through the storm, it caved in.
Yep.
And then the people had to make a run for the high school, which was also falling down.
One of the newest buildings and most expensive buildings in the county.
So then we were just the laughing stock on the news of just the building like.
I remember our football team going and playing another football team. It might have been Port Charlotte, and I remember I was like, yeah, we're kick butt. We done survived a hurricane. We're here to play football. I wasn't playing. I was just following the game. And they had an announcement like, we're having a charity drive for all these poor bastards from DeSoto County. If all you Port Charlotte people can dig into your hearts and put money in this hat, we're going to send it to a good cause. Now let's let these kids play football. And I'm like, oh, they pity us.
I remember going back to school. I remember sitting in the cafeteria and like all the interior roof had fallen down, and I remember eating with it, and I was so glad to have air conditioning. But I was looking up, I could see pieces of little insulation just flying off.
Dude, that was the worst part. I mean, don't get me wrong, the hurricane sucked, but afterwards, after Charlie, we had like 2 to 3 weeks of just you clean up all day with the chainsaw.
And it was insanely hot.
Insanely hot, insanely humid, and trash everywhere. When I say trash, I mean like just nature. Natural, organic trash.
You want to feel old? That was 18 years ago.
Shut up.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. That was just the other day, Merce. Asshole. But like all right. So for those of you that don't know, like when we say Charlie around these parts, everyone just knows what we're talking about. But Hurricane Charlie was back in what 2004, Merce? Yeah, just the other day. Like I said, not very long ago at all. And it didn't last that long. What, 4 hours?
Yeah, it was a small and really fast hurricane, but it was really powerful. It was like a category 4 or 5.
And dude, it spawned so many tiny tornadoes. Like that was the one thing that I could not wrap my mind around. The woods that go around my family's house, like there was different trails carved into the woods from where just tornadoes would spawn, rip out a line of trees. And
I can remember being at my house and looking across the pasture where my grandmother lived, and she had a bunch of pine trees in between us, and I remember all at once just watching the tops of them snap off, and we were like, oh, we better get inside.
So, like, dude, when it started, we were very, oh, this ain't going to be that bad. We've lived through 50 hurricanes by this point.
Well, because they kept saying, oh, it's going to hit Tampa, it's small, you're not going to feel much of the effects. And I can remember watching Wink News. We didn't barricade up, do anything. Everybody's outside BSing. And Jim Farrell, Wink News.
It's turning.
And he's like, I believe it's making a turn. And just like, I remember like running outside going, just yelling like, it's turning! It's turning! And like, my dad's face is just...
You look like Mark Wahlberg in The Happening, or what is that movie where he's running from the plants by M. Night Shyamalan?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, damn you're not getting pop culture references.
If it was scary, I didn't watch it.
Dragging the ship down. It's not even scary, it's just retarded. Anyway.
I was just thinking more like Will Ferrell screaming, it's happening.
But where were you again? At your aunt's?
Oh, I was at my dad's. But my aunt and they were all over because we were like, oh yeah, nothing going on. And
it's a day off of work.
I like looked at all their faces and all coming in to look at the TV and being like, oh crap, because then it was going to be like there in like 2-3 hours.
Right.
Like it was no time to prepare.
Dude, my dad had like just moved to Palmetto and my mom still lived in Arcadia, and I actually went over there to help him board up just in case things get a little bad. And like I went over there. And I think we were literally getting plywood out, cutting it, and starting to screw it on. And whatever, and we were listening to a radio, and we heard, it's making a turn towards the Peace River. It looks like it's heading right for Arcadia. And my dad just looks at me and goes, you need to get home now. And I fly over here. We had boards. We put them up. I remember chaining, not on a like giant chain, on a small, I don't know, I'd say like a garden chain, nothing heavy duty. But I chained down a wheelbarrow to like a support beam because I was scared the wind would blow it away. And I remember seeing that chain tight and the wheelbarrow flying like a freaking kite at 45 degrees, like up. And I was like, oh, this is bad. Me and my brother had to get dogs out of the dog pen before a tree fell down and crushed it. And like, we made it out the back door, halfway across the yard, jumped in the pen, got the dogs out, and on our way back, I made it back to the door in time, but a gust of wind came by, and maybe it's my 10-year-old imagination exaggerating it, but in my mind, he got knocked from the middle of my yard to the corner of my yard by a gust of wind at least 20 feet, and we made it inside. That was crazy.
I remember at the end of it, our house and all was fine for the most part, except for a tree branch had broken off and like punctured a hole in like part of the roof.
Right.
And like it's still blowing like hell, and my dad's got tar paper out, and we're on top of the roof, And I remember laying on it, and it's just like vibrating under me, like bouncing me up and down on the roof.
Oh, like the roof is waving?
No, the wind is blowing so hard onto this big roll of tar paper that
okay.
weight on it. And that's all I can do to keep my weight on it. I remember his glasses go flying off his face, just like gone across the yard into like all the down trees and everything. And
Your dad looks like he's on the side of a space station or something.
Yeah,
like
he's just yelling at me to hold it down, and I don't know what he wants from me because my body weight physically can't. And he's just yelling, and I'm just getting...
Boy, get heavier!
Yeah, he's just like beating the crap out of me against the top of the roof. And
gain mass, boy. What's wrong with you? Everybody knows that. But, like, all right, as crazy as Hurricane Charlie was, how crazy was it after?
Oh, it was so bad.
Dude, our town was under lockdown.
Oh, the National Guard rolled in.
With AR-15s on every corner, people putting out...
Turrets on the Humvees.
People putting out signs in their front yard and Main Street saying...
You loot, I shoot.
You loot, I shoot. And Arcadia made the news, but not for the reasons that most towns hit by disaster do.
Well, it made the news for the reason it usually does.
Yeah, town of hate. But...
that's for another time.
That's for another time. We're not going over that. Google it. Yeah, Charlie was wild. So, whereas we are taking slight precautions against, what's his name now? Ian? Yeah.
Yep.
We're taking precautions against Hurricane Ian. I don't think it's going to get that bad. I don't think Budweiser's going to have to bring in cans of water for everybody.
I found a box of those, or not a box, like a flat of those, not so long, in the white cans.
And FEMA making camps that they're all going to herd us into like sheep. I don't know about that one. But,
and then they couldn't get them evicted back out.
Yeah,
People decided to like live there full time.
Hey, I would, man. Hell yeah, it's your money. Use it up. Kind of.
How long were you without power? You're closer, where y'all's stuff's, you're closer to
3
town.
weeks?
You're still 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay, we were like 17 days.
Oh, that sucks.
So
Yeah.
you were out a little longer than we were, but we did we had a big generator after like 4 or 5 days.
So, whereas we don't think it's going to get that bad, if y'all just stop hearing from the Bandit Radio Hour after, we're going to publish this Tuesday. Check in. I don't know. Maybe we're blown away. Maybe we have a new recording location somewhere in a tree.
The CIA uses Ian as a cover.
That's what it is. There we go. They're taking us out before we make our mark and get big, people. Saudi Arabians, give us more downloads. We like y'all. We dig what you're doing. On that end, not a lot of the other ends, if I'm being honest. That's a sad place.
We appreciate the patronage.
Patronage, there we go. Word of the day. All right, moving on from Saudi Arabians, for the time being at least. What the hell else is new? Tell me something good that happened the past week, Merce.
Dolphins won.
Like the
they're
animal.
3-0, which is rare for them. We might actually see the playoffs.
The dolphin, the marine mammal, its enemy is trout and other fish. That dolphin?
Yes, that dolphin.
I was trying to be a smart ass and you wouldn't let me do it, damn it. All right, obviously the football team, they're 3-0? Wait, the Miami...
The Miami Dolphins is the only undefeated team in the AFC right now. Yes. That.
Wow.
So that's why the world's ending, the hurricane's coming,
I actually know the significance of that, because the Dolphins, and I just know this as a Floridian that doesn't watch the sports ball, have they not sucked the past lifetime?
They ride the short bus to the games, yes.
All the way back until Ace Ventura, Pet Detective? Wasn't that like the last time they were good?
Basically.
I know that football reference in that movie.
Laces out.
Yes. But
I think it's the second time we've actually referenced that in a podcast this week, or in 2 weeks.
Yeah, something like that. Einhorn is Finkel.
Yeah.
Finkel is Einhorn. But, so, here's my thing with the sports ball.
The sports ball.
With all the sports ball, not alright, so I can appreciate it on, hang on, let me put this asterisk on here. I enjoy going and watching a live game of sports ball, whether it be the football sports ball or the baseball sports ball, and on occasions, even the basketball sports ball.
And it's soccer. It's not football, it's soccer.
No, yeah. What
just
are we?
Clarifying that.
What are we, not American hippies? No.
Just making sure.
American hippies, kind of. No.
Soccer ball.
But, no. If it was I kind of like high school versions of it. Because it's like, hey, everybody that goes to this school is going to all get together and we're going to make a team and play everybody against that school. And like, I can wrap my head around that. But whenever, like, I really like hockey, like the concept of hockey. But whenever the Tampa Bay Lightning, a Tampa-based team that is full to the brim of Canadians, wins the Stanley Cup, I'm like, is this the Tampa Bay winning it, or is this the Canucks winning it at their game?
I like the Everblades because they have the Gator logo.
But, solid point. Solid point. But, like, that'd be like finding out the Jamaican bobsledding team was mostly Dutch. and not these cool Rasta guys I watched in a 90s movie that I based most of my reality on. Again, referencing Guy Ritchie. But, and that goes for, like, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It goes for the Tampa Rays. And I like watching these teams. And on one hand, like, there's that problem I have with it, that they're just buying people from other places to come here and play at this spot. Not just Tampa, any professional league stuff. They're borrowing talent from other cities that, like, the highest bidder picks that talent. But, you know, that's, like, one thing. Like, that's professional sports into itself. And I don't mind other people enjoying that. That's cool. The part that drives me bonkers is they take our money to do it by force. To build, like, stadiums and, like, these gigantic... If a private citizen was to build something that big, I don't know, that was self-serving, like, we would all be like, holy shit, what a waste of resources. And, like, I wouldn't mind professional teams building, like, these gigantic coliseums of stuff, but...
I'd want to build a giant stadium for my own team, but then, like Cartman, but nobody else.
Only five fans are allowed into the stadium.
So I don't have to deal with all the people.
You just... No, dude, you just...
One parking spot, just for me.
Yeah, you put one parking spot and 10 seats.
Yeah.
That's it for the whole stadium is redesigned.
But it's just massive.
No, but, like, dude... Imagine, how can I put this on the other foot? What we do for sports, like, to my left-wing listeners, imagine if we did that for, like, a gun range. Like, put millions and millions and millions of dollars into building just a gun range for people that, which, like me as a right-winger, I'm like, oh, of course, that supports the Second Amendment. We're supposed to train. But that's me being silly. Don't
Anywhere in a gun range if you're brave enough.
True. No, we don't condone that. I didn't process that before I said
that way.
Dude, no, that's bad.
Okay, no.
Maybe.
No,
not in all situations.
Non-violent, not hurting anybody. I was talking, like, strictly target practice.
Some, though. You know what we're talking about.
I meant, like, shooting cans in your backyard type of stuff.
In a non-residential setting.
Yes.
But anyways, no, to my right-wing listeners, what if that much money was given to build an art museum or something that was not even good art, like modern art that sucks, like banana tape to a pastel? Pastel? Is that what people paint on? Did I get that right? What do people
pastel is a color.
Nah, I was close. Swing and a miss for the Bandit. I thought I was intelligent for a damn second.
You're thinking of a canvas.
There, that's it. Put that on a canvas, a banana, and call it modern art. God, I'll not talk about that subject ever again. People, I know I try to encourage y'all, like, hey, tune in or, like, reply or something, tell me where I'm wrong. Y'all don't have to worry about art again coming out of my mouth. But
we should sell a t-shirt with just a banana.
Pastel. Just a banana on a canvas that says pastel. Tune in, cha-cha, finger guns. But away from pastel, back to sports ball. So, like, yeah, it blows my mind how much public funding goes to all these different stadiums and supporting teams and to make sure the team stays there and that.
The way it's going, we're going to be building stadiums in Ukraine.
Yeah, plenty of them. But no, so, okay, I'm sorry for, like, total, like, that's my very unneutral, biased starting point. Merce, why do you like the sports ball? Well, hang on, what sports ball do you like?
Probably football.
That's
I
it?
like baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like. I do not like basketball.
No.
And it's not like that I dislike it. It's just I never got into it.
I was tall and lanky and sucked at it, so I had no interest.
I played it one time and they did like the upwards thing for like the
Yeah,
Christian
the
league.
youth league.
And we were the whitest team. It was like all like the ranch
Painfully
kids with us.
white.
Oh, like I don't think I made a basket the
Your-
whole.
Your daddy's like, boy, we're gonna find something else for you.
I think he was annoyed that I was even there.
You're like, I can do bookkeeping for the baseball team. And I would make fun of you while I sat on the bench and never played either.
The dreams.
Yeah.
Look at us now. We have a podcast.
Yeah, we're sure ahead of all those other guys that are like AC repairmen making a lot of money.
But I don't know. I just ever since I was little, just watching it. It was my family was into it. You know, watching the Gators. Dad loved the Gators. Mom loved the Dolphins. So it was just always like a fun thing to do. And then the older you get, it's more like kind of almost like a pride thing. Like if
When I was
like bragging rights.
My mom loved the Gators, the University of Florida Gators. My dad loved the Seminoles. And growing up, like when I was really little,
Well, one of them's right.
Yeah. Looking back, my dad. Guarding gold, baby. But no, I would switch which one I liked, but here's the thing: it would make me so upset when my team lost, and it didn't matter how hard I cheered. It didn't matter what I did. I could not affect the outcome of this game.
I'm still the same way, and I still feel like I did something wrong.
Short of illegal activities, I cannot affect the outcome of that game. Pull a. What's that movie? Mercy, where she gets the guy. No, Misery, where she gets the author. And, oh, you don't watch scary movies. Damn you not giving him a reference. She breaks an author's leg and keeps him.
Oh, I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and like takes care of him. And
She puts the wooden block between his legs.
Short of me doing that to the quarterback or something like that, which I would still be nice enough to take care of the gentleman. I can't affect the outcome of the game. And once I realized that, I'm like, I'm going to focus my attention on something that I can affect directly. Hello, politics. And I went crazy.
I still to this day let a group of college men ruin my week.
That's funny. That's great. No, but I get I get annoyed by equally dumb things like comic books, men in superhero tights that run around and do things. That can piss me off really quick if it's written wrong. My inner nerd coming out, which by the way, it seems like most you just like a good game of football. You probably are aware of a good amount of the players and what they can do. But like these super football nerds that know every stat of every person of every.
Oh, that's too much for me.
I'm like, y'all are like another form of comic book nerd.
Yeah, I don't do fantasy football, none of that stuff.
All right, you want to know what is a great sport and defies everything I just said? It's
wall ball.
No. Why did you say that?
I don't know. We're talking about high school stuff.
I got painful memories of that. No, I always got hit in the nads. I think that gave me superhuman baby making stuff because I make them.
Can confirm.
Okay, I didn't get him pregnant. If that's what he was.
No, but I've witnessed the babies.
That's what I thought you witnessed other thing. Never mind. Get that thought out of here. But
Pastel.
no, damn it. Where I was going was UFC. It's, I believe, damn near all of the stadiums are, maybe they're not all privately funded because it's like Las Vegas and stuff. Well, they tour, they go to different areas. But that is one guy from this one city fighting. And there's no other teammate to blame it on. There's no, and it is just two people beating the living hell out of each other. And that is kind of sadly fun to watch.
You can see the same thing at the Circle K at about 2 a.m.
Yeah, if you're in the right, just throw a prescription pill bottle down there with Tic Tacs and watch them go. Form your own octagon.
Do you remember the show Bum Fights?
Dude, yes.
That's what it reminded me of.
Yes, that I watched
quality television.
Count Dankula, who I've brought up on the series before as a mini documentary on the guys that made it, and yeah, it's pretty wild. Where do you draw the line on consent? No.
Right in front of them and let them cross it.
Yep, I get, because it's like, hey dude, do you want some heroin? Well, fight Larry over there that's missing half of his face. And well, I'm sure you've seen the meme, but what he did on Dr. Phil.
Oh, he walked out dressed as Dr. Phil?
Yeah, and then while Dr. Phil was arguing how he exploited vulnerable people, the guy argued right back to him, like, so do you. In every way, you exploit vulnerable people and change it up and mask it much more than I do. And I'm like, ooh, good point. I didn't actually watch the interview, but what that meme said was true. That sounds interesting. Again, y'all are just trusting some dude on the internet, so y'all don't throw stones at me. So, one thing I am certain about, though, that blew my mind. I have a brother who is pretty much, like, not political at all. And God bless him. I think some of the best people are not political. They just do their job, and they know a lot about that. They know a lot about real basic stuff. But he's a genius about this stuff. Anyways, I like talk politics to him a little bit, and he has a real base understanding of them. But no, like it's funny. His instincts tend to like agree with a lot of my thoughts and advanced theories. But some I never thought I'd hear him bring up, and this was thanks to UFC. He's like, yeah, you know, this guy won, and when he got on the microphone, he talked about this place called Yena or Heman, and I'm like, Yemen? He's like, yeah, that's the place, Yemen. He said, I guess this fighter's from Yemen, and like, there's this really messed up stuff going on there that like they can't get food to kids and stuff like that, and it's really bad. He goes, but it's real shit. And I was like, dude, this fighter spread this mess, the same one I like on my first or second episode, kind of went on like an autistic rant about this tragedy in Yemen. And this fighter, God bless him, through fighting through grit, like is able to broadcast that message out to everybody. And you see a lot more stuff like that in UFC than you do in like NFL or a lot of these other. I don't get me wrong, I know UFC is a corporation and the NFL is a corporation, but the NFL is much more corporate-y. Like in its demeanor and its look and its feel. The UFC is like, I don't know, it seems like they answer to a board. And I'm sure UFC does too, but Dana White for the most part is like, kiss my ass, I'm doing it how I want. I'm not paying the fighters a lot of money unless they win.
That's like I forgot his full name, they call him Patty the Batty, the fighter. And he got up there and he did the whole spiel about suicide awareness.
Yeah.
And he had like a big long one that went on like that after he won a fight. So and they're like actually showing like the next day after like the suicide hotline like got called way more than usual. So
that's great. But how many people are just assholes calling up, be like, "Hey, what you doing?" I figure like I don't believe there's that many terrible humans, but there are some terrible humans. But no, compare that. When you're talking about like corporate demeanor, what they say.
Colin Kaepernick.
But not just that. Even go back like 30 years. What they always say when they won the Super Bowl.
I'm going to Disneyland.
I'm going to Disneyland. Disneyland paid them a lot of money. Whereas like these UFC fighters who've been through some shit are like, hey, here's this really horrible thing. Can we like try to not do that? And everyone's like, that's a cool idea, Mr. Bloody Face, black-eyed, cauliflower-eared person. Let's listen to you. That's cool. And don't get me wrong, some of them are dumber than a box of rocks and piss me off, but I'll never tell you which ones because they'll come and beat my ass. And no thank you. I'm allergic to punches. I break out all over. Alright, so that's just me riffing on some stuff. Let's get down to brass tacks. Merce, how's the world doing in current events? Any new updates there?
It's on fire.
What specifically is? Because we talked about this before the show, and if y'all haven't seen the Jinx meme I share on Twitter of all the different damn food care facilities burning, check it out. But Merce, what caught fire earlier today or this week?
The world's largest produce market.
Yeah,
in Paris.
Yeah, and I think I read over 100,000 employees there, and it's where all the food is like distributed throughout Europe.
Convenience. Going back to an earlier
So many conveniences. And we're just going to keep updating y'all with each time this happens. Because I tell you, that we are getting into some more interesting waters.
And there's never like it comes out as a reason why. Like, oh, Jimmy accidentally turned something or a car. It's always just, oh, fire and we're shut down.
I'll never forget the one I was reading where it was like, oh, there's some crazy right-wing conspiracy theorists out there that are saying this is planned and yada, yada, yada. But no, these kinds of fires break out all the time because food is fuel after all. And I'm like, oh, they're kind of making like a valid point. But then, like in that same article, they had like, here's our example, a news clip. And
stray dog found a hand grenade.
Dude, it's almost like, so they're talking about how these accidents just happen in plants. In the news article, they show as evidence that crazy right-wingers, which I don't really call myself a righty. I'm a bandit.
I'm right-handed.
Yeah, I'm not a freak. I mean, come on, like I belong to civil society. I'm not some left-hander. But no, like the video clip they show is like, it shows the news lady and it's like, a private jet crashed into this food processing plant in the middle of nowhere. And I'm just like, oh. That has nothing to do with what the article said.
Imagine being the guy that's got to like wipe off like the board. It's like days since jets crashed into the plant, like back to zero.
Dude, it's some wild stuff, and there's that dark end of like, oh man, what if hypothetically, Mr. Algorithm that we're trying to please, what if hypothetically there are people like actually up to this stuff? Like how scary of a idea is that it's not all just coincidence? But speaking of like coincidences, 3 of them came out of the blue in the past 2 weeks. In particular about the ideology I subscribe most to, which is libertarianism, if I'm putting a brand on it. And let me tell you, the only time libertarianism like ever gets mentioned is if rightfully so with Ron Paul, the greatest U.S. politician to ever live.
We didn't listen.
No, we didn't listen. That's what got Merce on this bandwagon. Hell, that's what got me and a lot of other people on this. But outside of him, like the only thing you hear about libertarians is What is Aleppo with Gary Johnson and how much of an idiot he was. But really like dumb minor league politician-y shit is what you hear about with libertarians. The past, like literally, I think the oldest video is 6 days old on this day, September 26th. I've heard 3 separate conservative figureheads coming out swinging hard about why, I shouldn't say it, why you shouldn't listen to libertarianism, but definitely they are critiquing libertarianism. I'll tell you, the three conservative people, I would ping them as some of the typically smarter conservatives. It is Ben Shapiro, Alex frickin' I have the documents Jones, and they're shocking the two. Hell, nope, I'm not. No Alex Jones impressions. I'm canning those this episode. No,
Oh, disappointed.
I'm fighting the inner demon inside of me from the 3rd dimension of a parallel universe. I'm fighting that. But it was so Ben Shapiro, Alex Jones, and Crowder, Steven Crowder, who's interviewing Alex Jones, but then in his own segment, critiques libertarianism, and it's Dave Smith's part of the problem that really brought this to my attention. But man, listening to them, and then I went and separately listened to the videos themselves. Ben Shapiro, he's got the. I'll start with him. He's got the oldest video, and you can YouTube Ben Shapiro libertarianism, and it's like the first one that pops up. He's sitting on a couch talking to some Pakistani-looking guy. I mean, might not be Pakistani, just kind of looks like it to me. Middle Eastern fella, and they're talking about why libertarianism doesn't work, and like here's the thing: Ben Shapiro, 9 out of the 10 things he talks about, he knows. If he does not know every angle of that debate or conversation, he knows how he can build his argument in the right kind of angles to kind of look for the outcome he's looking for to dominate like a good argument. Like whether it's Israel. But some stuff I agree with them on, some stuff I disagree with them on. But I see them do the same things, and kind of it's a really good argument of tactic. And man, he just kind of craps the bed when he's talking about the ideals of libertarianism. And like one of the examples he gives, he goes, well, you know, I'm in a Jewish community, in like a private like Jewish community. He doesn't say private, but that's what he means. Like, well, I'm in an HOA or something like that. We all have to do Jewish customs and stuff. He goes, that's very anti-libertarianism because we're not letting people just like do what they want. It's like, well, no, you moron, you are. Y'all bought land, and you're saying, on my land, you have to act this way to buy a house from us. And I'm like, that's right in line with libertarian principles. Like, and that's one of the things, at least in my opinion, if you had everybody like just dealing with property owners, you would still have some very right-wing places. And some very left-wing places like you do today. But they'd be answerable like to themselves. And like to Ben Shapiro's point about like, well, like we're kind of a conservative Jewish community where I live and raise my kids. It's like that's the point. That you're arguing like for libertarianism. In a sense. Like the property owner, I should say more capitalistic or right-wing libertarianism, because there are technically left-wing libertarians that are like, abolish private property and rent is theft, and I try to entertain their arguments and it makes my head spin around in circles. Much more so than taxation is theft. I get that. I see that in my paycheck. But I digress. So like that was just like a taste of Ben Shapiro, and that like seemingly misunderstanding at that beginning point of like, no, there's still going to be rules and people making rules. It's just not the government with a gun. It's the property owner with a deed and conditions and terms and conditions. Or a gun. Yeah, but that's that property owner.
Yeah.
But anyways, to go from him, and that's like he's got like a 15 or I think it's a 10-minute video, pretty much breakdown of it, and it's just a lot of misunderstandings of the philosophy. Like, I feel like when a lot of people hear libertarianism, they think like, oh, some guy that can just get naked and do all the drugs while he's walking down the street and as whatever he pleases, as quote unquote, as long as he's not hurting anyone, man. And it's like, no, if someone owns the street, it'd be like that guy trying to do drugs and walk in Walmart without any clothes on. Like there's gonna be people there to be like, oh, get the hell out. If not just civilized, decent people. However, jumping off of them, going to Alex Jones being interviewed by Steven Crowder, I don't know, like, yes, Alex Jones was right about a lot of shit, like, no doubt. But man, and God bless him, I think, well, Merce, I'll just ask you, do you believe Alex Jones believes everything he's saying?
Yes.
Every single word? You believe he believes?
To an extent. And then
Okay.
I also think he doubles down because, he's a political figure and he likes to be a little bit over the top.
Okay.
I would say about 90% that comes out of his mouth, he truly believes.
And just theatric.
I think he got lucky on a bunch of like crazy theories. And he's just and now he's just convinced that like, if I say it, it's true, yeah.
Alright, let me pay homage to the great Alex Jones. Dude, he had Epstein's Island like back in the 90s. Like he was saying that back when I started getting like a little conspiracy minded, I'm like, no, come now. Our overlords wouldn't do things like that. The FBI would stop.
Like I said, he early on he got a bunch of theories right, and now he just is grasping at straws, and it's just like
yeah. I think at worst case scenario for Alex Jones, he doesn't believe half the stuff he's saying, but he's saying it in a way that's permeated culture and made people much more aware of the horrible things our government is doing. But I'd say out of the three...
I think he did a good job of waking up the older generation. I remember my dad...
True.
My dad being like, you seen InfoWars?
But dude, InfoWars woke so many people up. Like you said, the older generation with like AM stations and stuff like that, they'd run out and getting up into the internet era. And I'd say out of the three of them, what is Ben Shapiro, Alex Jones, Steven Crowder, I'd probably say he's the most like libertarian minded. Like, oh my God, it's one world government. We got to have a sovereign state. To
I've
fight
never
off.
listened to a lot of him. I just only see what makes it on the internet. So part of me is just like, oh, that show's just a little crazy.
Yeah, he admits that he had some brain injury growing up.
Which is why I say I truly believe he believes.
But no, he kind of started deconstructing libertarianism on Steven Crowder's show, and he was like, what libertarians don't account for is that these giant corporations that all libertarians love, which no, we don't, but that they're gonna buy up and take up and fund the government, and they'll be able to control what government's left. So that's the thing libertarians don't account for, and it's like, dude, this is like libertarianism 101. Like, that's why we don't want government, because we know corporations do this, and we want a level playing field. Like, anything you do, what was it, last episode I talked about the Arabs donating to Hillary Clinton, even though you can't, even though technically it's illegal to fund, for a foreign country to fund American politics, but they find a way. But no, so Alex Jones just kind of tees off on some minor things that are incoherent. For the most part. Like, kind of like Ben Shapiro, like, calling out and making a mark, but an imprecise mark, when these people are normally more precise.
You think there's a reason why they all did it?
Well, I'm getting there, because the last one I want to talk about is Mr. Steven Crowder, who claims, and this is, I'm echoing a little bit of Dave Smith, so I apologize, but he brought up a good point, and I want to expand upon it. Steven Crowder claims he's not a libertarian, but he is a constitutional conservative, and wants the government to only abide by the Constitution. It's like, oh, if that's true, and you mean that, and you've read like the Federalist Papers and the Anti-Federalist Papers, and you thoroughly understand what they were trying to implement by the Constitution, you are a radical libertarian in how you believe the federal government should operate. Like, it's like whiskey tax is a step too far. Like, it's if you're actually going by what they meant in acting this stuff, like, hey, First Amendment, does that mean it's legal to lie on the federal government level? And, the other founding father in the Federalist paper going, yes, of course, because then you'll have if not, you'll have the federal government saying what's a lie and what's truth, and we can't have that. Looks around at modern day institutions saying that everywhere. So by his own stand, this is something that drives me crazy with so many quote unquote constitutional conservatives, who will then say what a great institution the FBI is. It's just headed by misguided people. And I'm like, well, if you're a constitutional conservative, you should know that
it doesn't belong.
No, none of this should be here. So, anyways, I wanted to, if you did hear about this, I wanted to refresh your memory. If not, I wanted to update y'all on, 3 pretty big limited government conservatives. I'd say 3 of the most popular ones. Merce, can you think of any more? Maybe Tucker is the only one that's more popular than them. I can't think of really any other right-wingers, at least in the States. Man, literally, I looked it up right before this podcast. Ben Shapiro was the first episode, and that was 6 days ago. And the 3 examples I gave, they're right off the bat. And I'm like, the reason I'm saying all this is why all at once? And I don't believe, my cartoonish mind really wants to be they all met in a cigar smoke-filled room with, the 4 big bankers, J.P. Morgan Chase and the Rockefellers. And they said, hey, we're going to tell you exactly what to say and spin it this way so we can get people off our trail. I don't think that. I think it's more kind of like a natural defense mechanism. Because I mean, everything isn't anecdotal, and I don't like basing things on that. But in my private life, I run into so many, screw the term libertarian or conservative or liberal. The amount of people I run into that just strictly want to be left alone by whether, the vaccine mandates or, we're going to bleep that out, what I just said. to please the algorithm. Sorry, everybody listening, y'all are going to be clueless, but y'all probably figure it out. It's when the government started telling people what to do in the past 3 years, along with private corporations. But anyways, sorry. I don't think it's that. I think it's like the popularity of this idea, of this meme, of this thought of leave me alone. And I want to figure out like my local community and I want to influence that and get away from, stop being tied to the hip of what California and New York and Texas and Minnesota and the Ukraine are doing. Like, no, and like section it off and get to ourselves. And that's kind of, I think these conservative figureheads, they can smell the blood in the water and they know the tide's changing. So maybe quell it while it's rising up. Maybe, I don't know. I think it's an instinctual reaction though. I don't think it's like a planned thing. Speaking of planned and instinctual, I mean, if there's two people on that side of the aisle that can line up with those terms that aren't just talking heads, that are actually paving the grindstone. Paving the grindstone, that's not the right words. I'm tired. I don't care. I'm sleepy. It's midnight. But the two people I'm talking about are Trump and DeSantis. And I'm hearing
2024.
I'm hearing a lot of chatter of them going against each other for president. Like none of them pledging to it or anything like that, except Trump's all but said that, you know. But man, I tell you that for one, from the polling I've seen, it seems that DeSantis is actually more popular than Trump in some areas.
I just don't want to lose him in Florida.
That's my thing. I'm like, I hope he does not run for president. Instead, I hope he chooses secession for Florida and just tries to live out his life as governor.
I just shed a tear.
Yeah, like that would be in, you know, and then if Miami wants to secede from Florida and so does
we
Orlando.
annex it. Sorry for any listeners in Miami.
Yeah, but we don't have to. We just let them break off, be Miami. Everybody else that don't want to be part of it just runs away to, oh no, they'll come
Second,
here.
Cuba.
And then Arcadia and has its own immigration policy in each, like, you know, who we're going to sell to and stuff like that. And hell, each neighborhood can. That's the kind of immigration policy I'm down for. But anyways, yeah, we talked about it a couple episodes ago, but Trump running or not does interest me. But what interests me, like, so much more than that is what the hell happens after Trump? Which way are we swinging down? Because this is, like, what, in Italy, didn't, like, their really far right wing just get elected first?
Yep.
How right wing is their really right wing?
I mean, I'm not going to go full Mussolini, but...
Like, do they do, like, the chef's kiss, like, way too much? Like, you mama, like that, is it that right wing?
All right, Mario.
Yeah. Did Mario say your mama? If so, I need to play those games a lot more.
I think that's like the bonus feature. In
No, there you go. That's why I liked Luigi. No, it's just he was tall and goofy and not as popular as everybody else. So I was like, I like you, Luigi. I identify with you. Then he had a haunted mansion, and I wouldn't touch that shit. No, thank you. Sorry, Luigi.
I played it one time when Walmart used to let you play the games.
Yes.
And I didn't like it.
What, you have a vacuum cleaner?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that turned me off. I'm like, dude, I'm already playing Call of Duty.
It was the ghosts for me.
The ghost?
I was scared of the ghosts.
Like the Mario ghost? Was it like?
Well, that's why he's got the vacuum cleaner to suck up the ghosts in his haunted mansion.
Well, I can't remember what the ghosts looked like. Was it like ghosts of like did they look like Luigi or did they look like Boo?
Like Boo, but
oh.
yeah, that even scared me through Mario Brothers.
Jesus. We will survive one way or another when this world comes crashing down. Boo's or not.
I don't fear the apocalypse. I fear things that aren't real.
How odd. Boo went from a ghost in Mario to what a typically ghetto girl calls her boyfriend.
We've come full circle.
We have, or at least half of it from Mario to ghetto, because Mario transcended a lot of cultures and a lot of incomes. So good on you, Mario. But guys, listen, we are burnt out. It's 12:30 and I worked cows today. And we gotta get ready for a hurricane.
Yeah, we got the new update about an hour ago, and it's not good.
It's coming. It's coming right for us. But before we get out of here, we're going back to a fan favorite segment. What is it called? Black Action News reporter Merce?
Florida Man!
Florida Man. What Merce is going to add off some headlines for us, and we'll get my reaction on it while I'm staying awake on this tall glass of water I have.
Going in live, in our original Florida Man segment, we talked about the guy that tried to buy the child.
Yeah.
Just dropped an update on that. The Florida man who allegedly attempted to buy a child for $100,000 dies while in custody.
How'd he die?
Finding that out now, but I mean, good.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. But I'm curious. Is this like prisoner justice? Is this? He was found Epstein.
Yeah. It says earlier this week, Kolb suffered a medical event and was taken to the hospital and later died. I'm going to say...
An act of God.
Yeah.
Medical event. Tried to buy a girl. What, it was like from the mom, right?
Yeah, just like, hey, here's a stack, give me your kid.
Man.
Do you think she entertained it, or was she like instantly no and angry?
Man. No.
She was like, how much? Okay, if he'd offered her, so
was she insulted by the price?
Yes. If
like,
he just like came out and offered her $100 million, would he have a child right now and not be in jail or dead?
Dude, like
they say everything has a price, and this is I know this is dark.
I love my children, but I'll be straight up. It would cause me to pause. If if they said like $100 million cash in the suitcase, I'd be like, no, all right, I gotta kill you now. But then take the money.
Thank you for the offer.
Like, yeah, I have pretty kids. Yep,
I appreciate it, but I've got to call the law.
Yep. After you're dead, and I got the money because you just tried to approach my child without any money and take her. That's what I tell the cops. But what's next in Florida news? Lay it on us.
Florida man chases down and plucks feathers from sandhill crane.
Oh, dude, ribeyes of the sky.
I don't know what the context is, but
so if people don't know about this bird, to call it a bird is kind of an understatement. It's more like
it's an endangered species here.
I
don't believe that, but that's what they've got it labeled.
There's only 300 left. Horse crap. I've seen 300 of them in a pasture. But no, they are literally a bird. Like Merce, how tall do they get? Like 5 foot?
I'd say it's like a good 4.
Good 4, solid 4, and they're like giant cranes, and their beaks are giant daggers. They're huge birds, and they make this awesomely not annoying at all sound that goes something like that.
I'm so using that for a ringtone.
Yes, but they a dude chased it down and plucked it.
There's not a whole lot to go with it, but yeah, he apparently ran it down, grabbed it by the neck, and started ripping its feathers.
Oh wait, where?
This would have been
Polk County, I'm guessing.
Oh, that's a pretty Polk thing to do.
That is. Or Highlands. I could see some folks in Highlands. Jupiter. Yep. Wait, is that down there on the East Coast?
Yeah, but farther north. It's not down.
Yeah. Okay. Up by Fort Pierce.
But yeah, there's not a whole lot of contact. So they say they saw him running down, rip the feathers off, and then people tried to stop him, and he just started shoving the feathers in their faces, asking if they wanted some.
Dude, I don't know what drugs he's on, but that's pretty hardcore if you're going to tackle one of them birds and start taking feathers.
I don't know.
I worked with a cowboy who quite literally called them ribeyes of the sky, and he lived off the land, would eat rattlesnake, would eat anything he came across, and yep, he didn't notify anybody when he was eating the ribeye. Alright, Merce, we got a story to walk us out on?
Yeah. Florida boat captain who cut the tether to parasail is charged in tourist death.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it's not all fun and games.
What
in Sunshine
a nightmare! What's the captain doing? So hang on. Let's explain. So a guy is like being dragged by a boat, like in a parasail, like tightrope high above it, tied to the boat. Tourist, and the captain just walks up with his pocket knife and cuts it, and it's like, to hell with you.
Essentially, the operator of a parasailing boat has been charged in the death of a young mother after he cut the tether
Ooh.
as she and 2 boys were being towed near the Florida Keys.
Ooh, in the Keys.
Yeah.
That's where people don't come back from.
The 3 fell from an unknown height and were dragged through the water for 2 miles by the parasailing canopy until they became snagged on the old 7-mile bridge.
Oh. This went from kind of funny and dark to just really sad and dark. Mom and kids?
Yeah.
Ah. Well, let's try to end on better news than that. A hurricane's coming. Yay. Oof.
Talk about cutting ties.
Jesus Christ. Guys, that's gonna do it. We gotta get prepped for this thing. We gotta put up boards and lock her down, and I gotta eat a lot of crow from when I was talking smack about this hurricane's gonna be nothing burger. We'll find out. Tune in to see how we recover from Hurricane Ian in the next Bandit Radio Hour. Follow us on Twitter at Bandit Radio. On Instagram, we got a Facebook group now. Merce is always putting up shorts and clips and memes and stuff like that.
Yep, just type Bandit Radio Hour in basically anywhere and you'll find us, except TikTok.
You won't find us. And hey, if you got anything to correct on this episode, there's probably a lot. I'm really sleepy. I'm tired, but I like it. I dig it. It's more free flow, more free thought. And y'all join us next time. Y'all take it easy. Peace out.